Hey, greetings there, fellow makers. Bill here. I'm down in my shop today. In fact, I'm live from the shop. That's right. Hanging out with my PropTarts in the chat right over there. We're live on Twitch, as we are usually every Tuesday at noon Pacific. And today, I'm going to do a little bit of drawing. You heard me right. I'm going to design a prop. I got a project coming up. I'm going to teach some friends how to make some prop things out of foam, and I figured I could design my own hand prop, a weapon of some kind that we could then use to build our foam pieces. So I'm going to step you through the whole process of designing something, maybe getting a little bit of insight and help from my PropTarts in the chat, and then I'm going to draw it all out, and then I'm going to show you how I would use that to sort of split it apart to make pieces for a foam prop. So that's all coming up today, live in the shop. One more thing before we get rolling here. I have a sign. This is a huge wooden sign made by Dave's Signs over on YouTube. He was nice enough to make this and send it over to us. YouTube.com/OldDave100 if you're interested in checking out how he makes his sign. So thank you, Dave, for the wonderful sign. I'll have to find a nice place to put it up in the shop. Awesome. Look how giant it is. Isn't that crazy? Here's an example of a project I did a while ago. I was designing a bow, but I had several ideas. So I went and knocked out a couple of really quick, different examples of things that I was going for. These are all of the bows that I did, and then I did some different arrowhead designs as well. And I believe for this particular project, I ended up going with this design and that arrowhead. So I took these little designs here, picked my favorite, and ended up sort of expounding on that one to come up with the final piece. In fact, I actually built this, and I have a video for that, of course. Here you can see another drawing that I spent a little more time sort of fleshing out the particular details on it. Here's the next step. I did more on the arrowhead here, and then I finished up most of the ideas on the final piece. And I think this is what I used to finally make the prop. So that's what we'll do today. We'll come up with a couple of small designs, and I'll pick my favorite, and we will build that one out completely. For this design, in order to pick whether it'll be fantasy or sci-fi, I'm letting the PropTarts vote on it. So those votes are coming in hot right now. We got our wonderful PropTarts hanging out with us in the chat, helping me out. And when I need to come up with other design ideas in the future, of course, I'll lean on these guys for more help. But right now, fantasy is just edging out sci-fi, but we'll give it another minute or so and see which one wins. The PropTarts have spoken, and it looks like fantasy is our big winner. So I'm going to draw some fantasy swords. Cool. So the PropTarts have spoken. We're drawing a fantasy sword. I'm going to do a couple of designs here, maybe like 3 different designs. Really rough, really quick, just to kind of get the forms out and see, then we'll see which one is our favorite. So got my thing here. We're going to do fantasy, and let's get a fantasy. Yeah. Okay, so let's do a couple of quick ones. I see a lot of people in the chat saying elven, like something an elf would do. So I'm going to do a really quick thing that's kind of elf-like. And when I think of elves, I think like leaves and like rounded, like curved blades, really elegant looking. In fact, if I need help, I can go and look up like Lord of the Rings. Very curved kind of blades. They're actually kind of wider at the top, kind of like a scimitar. So I really like that. I tend to be like really sketchy when I draw. That's just me. Spiky thing at the bottom. I think Orcrist has something like that. Oh, and by the way, this is the official I like to make stuff pencil I got from Bob. Very good. High quality pencil. So I'm just like pulling elements from, I'm looking at the screen up there, pulling elements from some different elven, like Lord of the Rings type elf swords, but you know, and then assembling it in my own way. All right, and I'm not gonna bother putting a lot of thought into the particulars. Like there might be some filigree or whatever on this blade. That's enough right there. That design is enough to get a pretty good idea of what I want. All right, so next sword, let's do something a little more European. Just like a, you know, King Arthur type sword. And again, I can go look up King Arthur drawings if I want. So this is like a straight bladed, just cross sort of thing. Pommel down here. Robin Hood. But of course then I can go in and tweak it a bit. I do like actually the idea of a blade that is, well, it's a straight blade. It's got some curved elements to it. So maybe the tip is rounded. And sometimes I'll even like leave one side looking really squared off, round the other side, just to see how they look. But I could flare it at the top and then have it come in. So it's wider up here and thinner, kind of like that. Let's try out these erasers on Bob's pencils. Let's see how they look. That worked out pretty good. So on one side I've got like this flared thing. The other side I'm just kind of... So we've got some different options on that one there. There we go. Okay, so again, that's it. I'm not going to put a ton more of thought into that guy there. Let's work on the next one here. So we did like an elf, human. What about like an orc or like something really gross and kind of chewed up, like really angular. Like it's one hunk of metal that's just been like carved up with stones to make like a really jagged thing. Maybe it's got some jagged teeth looking thing on it there. Got some like pitting. Like maybe part of it's kind of chewed away. And it's, you know, it's sharp, but it's really just kind of tetanus. Like, in fact, if I had to name this sword, I would name it tetanus. There's really very little in the way of a guard on it. Like it's a very offensive weapon. The bottom of it maybe is like just really, this really gnarly looking hunk of metal. So this is something, you know, your big burly orc guy would use if you were hunting hobbitses. And then there's just like a hunk of leather, like a raggedy hunk of leather kind of stretched around the handle there. Like so. All right, there we go. There are our 3 drawings. So we have our 3 drawings here. We have the elf, human, and orc. Very generic sort of thing. Very basic. These only took me 6 minutes to draw, each one of them. Now, we'll turn it to the PropTarts again to vote on which one they think I should flesh out all the way. So we're going to call these, we'll do elf, human, orc. And we'll vote. Great. PropTarts are voting. I accidentally called it the Ord sword. Seems to be a crowd favorite right now. That is, of course, the orc sword that I have named Tetanus. But still plenty of time to vote. So get your votes in, everybody. Figure out which one you want me to finish. Link is in the chat. Okay, the PropTarts have spoken once again, and Ord. Ord is our winner. You know, the orc sword. Cool, so I will now start to refine that. Yeah. Here we go. This is a big old piece of just like painter's paper stuff, really cheap stuff from the hardware store. And this is what I'm gonna draw my sword on. Give myself plenty of room because I wanna draw this full scale. Now Brittany was kind enough, she went and found this awesome book from Lord of the Rings. And they have some great examples here of weapons that the orcs used in Lord of the Rings. So I'm gonna just kind of peek at this while I work on my design so that I can get some inspiration from some of their different elements here. But this is really, really great stuff. Got my pencil. I'm gonna start by making sure that I get the scale pretty much right, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. I have a machete. How lucky is that? It's a real machete. It's made out of metal. I use it to garden in my house area. But the handle is the right size and the blade is appropriately sized. So if I make something this scale, then I know it'll be the right scale. So I'm going to start by tracing this just with pencil. And especially the handle, because it's the most important thing is that the handle is the right size for me. So there we go. There's a nice start. It's kind of a light pencil, but the handle is this entire portion here. So that's where I want my hand to fit. So the size of the handle is set, but I can start using some of the elements of designs from this book to really figure out the shape of things. Also, I have the design I drew earlier to kind of help me along my way. So there's just like a huge hunk of metal down here, like that. Big hunk of gnarly metal down here. Kind of rough hewn handle thing. I'm gonna just kind of swoop it in a bit, but it's gonna be kind of lumpy. And then again, just like on the design I drew here, no real guard. Like this is totally an offensive weapon. And the handle is just kind of go from the blade all the way down like that. And then it'll be like my machete, only I think a little bit bigger. So the back of the blade kind of curves, goes kind of straight up and kind of back a bit. These spikes that I had, I think I'm going to make go all the way around the end of the blade up here. So it's like a giant machete, except it has massive spikes on it. And it's okay if these spikes aren't like perfectly symmetrical or identical in size, because this is an orc weapon. Like he made it himself. Like he'd be super proud. Oh, I made that myself. Maybe some more smaller spikes down here. And then the whole thing is just going to look like it was carved out of a hunk of like a sheet of metal. I think this edge will be beveled down towards the end of the spikes. Cool. All right, so I'm going to keep sort of poking and prodding at this for a little bit here, and I'll touch base with you guys in just a couple minutes. Most of the sword is roughed out. The pommel here I want to do a little bit more work on. Again, this is like going to be from a flat sheet, like a single flat sheet of metal, but the pommel should have some mass to it, and I think like a spike. It'd be kind of cool if it was like just a jutting, like gnarly spike going like kind of forward-ish. Just like that. And then it's been sharpened, so there's kind of a bit of a bevel to it. Maybe that bevel follows like that. Like this is all flat, and then this edge here and this edge here have been beveled. So just like on the blade up here, I imagine it would be ground down with like really rough stone work, like a grinding stone. And then the part up here is going to be covered by a leather wrap, but this metal part here is exposed, and I figure it'll be all pitted and worn and rusted. And then the edge here, where the bevel starts, is going to be really rough too, because this guy, literally some orc warrior dude, just like made it himself. There we go. So we got a really gnarly, pointy, spikety thing there. I think I'm ready to kind of commit to this design. I like it. I like where this is going. Cool. I'm really happy with this design so far. It's all just in pencil right now, so I'm going to go over it with just a normal Sharpie to kind of commit to everything and refine everything a little bit. This way, it's a lot easier to see. And then I'm actually going to transfer this to the computer soon, so this will make it a lot easier to see on the computer. So I'll start with the handle, I think. I can just do like a quick outline of the rough metal handle part here. The pommel part is going to be this chunky piece of metal with a wacky looking spike on it. And then it's got a bevel, a really rough looking bevel. This is all rough hewn on like a ground, like a stone grinding wheel. And then the handle is wrapped in like leather, but it's not really pretty. So there we go. Any of the flat metal here is going to look all pitted and like it's super rusty and got lots of texture to it. Like that's really what I want, is just texture. So there's our handle bit looking really good, and then I can start really just tracing the rest of the blade. So there's like a thumb thing up here, and then the back of the blade is, again, just a flat piece of metal, but it's all rough cut, pitted, and gross looking. So I'm just kind of shaky hand tracing this. Really, really gnarly. In fact, I can even like break off the end of that tip, like it's been bent and broken off, like that. And again, this is all going to be like ground sharpened, but really super rough. So this is going to be a lot like the Ripper axe from Diablo 3 that I made for my second Foamsmith book. There we go, most of the outline done, and then the rest is just going to be kind of like some texturing. So we've got the rough ground sharpening texture here, so this will all come to a nice beveled edge. It doesn't need to look amazing. This is all, again, I'm going to make a prop out of this, so this is all just like kind of an instruction that's like, hey, make this part look all rough and gnarly. And then the back part here, especially where it's all kind of really chewed up there, is going to be like super pitted. So I'll probably go over this with a Dremel when I'm doing the foam work to really make it look like a haphazard, chewed up looking bit there. But there we go. That is pretty much it for the design. Looks really good on my hand, a good size, and I think that'll turn out pretty awesome. There it is, you guys. It's Ord, the orc sword. Whoop. So that was a really quick little design session. Took us just under an hour. Thank you very much for the help, my wonderful PropTarts. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out today. Of course, if you guys want to check out our live streams, that's twitch.tv/punishedprops. We go live from the shop every week, Tuesdays usually at noon Pacific. Join us there. As far as this design goes, I will be building this in a future video, so look forward to that. Also, this design I will be putting into my computer so I can trace it onto Inkscape. And I actually recorded a video with Evil Ted showing him exactly how to do that. So look forward to that video very soon. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks again for hanging out with me and checking out our videos. If you have any questions about my design process, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're designing some cool props, let me see them. Check me out on Twitter. Send me pictures over there. I'm at JimBeard. All right, thanks again for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next build. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new weekly prop and costume tutorial videos. For more goodies, head over to our website where you'll find blueprints, tutorial books, articles, and more. We also have a second channel for our Q&A show and extra behind-the-scenes videos. Thanks again, and happy crafting.